Next item would be drying rack. So this is a drying rack. Actually, I just made this one. So out of my own pocket, of course, but I'm not, because it's my job, of course, to really improvise your lab, to improve the laboratory setup here. So anyway, I just use some aluminum type and then cover it with, of course, with rubber. So the purpose of this one is really to dry when we try to wash all those bottles that we have used. So we use it, we put it in a drying rack to drip that water out. So of course, this is just um, ako lang mo, so it's not really that beautiful. But I've managed to put some rubbers. So the purpose of these rubbers is for not to etch, meaning diri masamad, not to etch the surface of the glasses. Kaya kung nag-etch na hiya, bisan pa tiya made of usual is Pyrex, nasasama dit tiya because your aluminum is harder than your glass, or maybe the surface of the glass may scratch ya because mas matarong dotan iya edge, so you have to put, so we call this drying rack. Next item, we have volumetric flask. So a volumetric flask is usually a bigger version of your pipettes and burettes, wherein it accurately measures volume of substances or solutions. Given that you're similar to graduated cylinders, but again, this is more accurate than your graduated cylinders. That's why in analytical chemistry, we use this one to measure volumes rather than rather than a graduated cylinder, because this one is more accurate. How? This one usually this is made to for that use, accurately measuring the volume. For example, but you have again to pay attention with the ml, with the volume it contains, because for 500 ml it only has one calibration for 500 ml, but that is accurately measuring. Accurately meaning the 500 ml is somewhat ranges from, let's say, 500.01 ml or 500.0305. Of course, you have a range for that, and that can be from a calibration of this, because we have calibrations. But for graduated cylinders, the 500 ml, that might probably be 502 ml or 503, 501 ml. So in the range of your error is smaller with this one than a graduated cylinder. So you use volumetric flask again to measure volumes more accurate than your graduated cylinders. So you usually have stoppers here, so that even the vapors, we anticipate that for solutions, substances that evaporates quickly would not evaporate that much in comparison with your graduated cylinders. So again, for measuring accurately bigger amount of volume, so we need volumetric flask. Next items is I have here test tube brush. So of course this is used for washing test tubes, but you can use this to wash let's say volumetric flask, the insides, or probably your graduated cylinders. So everything you can, any tools that you can. Of course, you have a bottom which is farther to reach, so you can use a test tube brush. You can see you have test tube, and then you have test tube brush for of course cleaning that, of course, with soap and water, and then drying it in a drying rack. So just test tube brush. And then another item here, with respect to test tubes, we have a test tube rack. So burutangan, hand test tube. So test tube rack, wherein you can just put your test tube there. This is a classical one. Of course, we have test tube racks of this type. So this one is more for more samples. This is also a test tube rack. And we also even have test tube racks. We have different kinds of test tube racks. So may I just tour you tour in this small laboratory. Anyway, that can hold up to 7 or 6 people inside, including me. But now, during pandemic, it can hold only up to 3. Of course, I should be there because I don't usually let the students do. Because mga diri pa talaga ra mag-aral mag-experiment hara kalugaringon. There might be some explosions. So, I should always be here if ever students are here. So, as you can see, we have different type of test tube racks. We have plastics, of course. So, but again, they are still test tube racks. That is the next item.